Thank you. So I guess we're supposed to talk about a little bit about our journey of writing this book. You know, it started because Johnny would go and do motivational speaking, and then after the speeches, people would come up to him and ask him, okay, I want to know more. How did you do this, or why did you do this? So we knew we always wanted to write a book. But at the time, Johnny was at Aquinas, and he was studying a double major, and he needed to concentrate his studies on that, especially since I was his age. So once he graduated from Aquinas, we said, okay, Johnny, now is the time to start writing this book. And so that's kind of how we started. And the title of the book means a lot to us because a lot of people, when Johnny had the idea to walk, he wanted to walk only 23, he had only ever walked 23 steps. And so when he came to the breakfast table one morning and he said, you know what, I have an idea, I want to walk a mile. And we were floored because he'd only ever walked 23 steps. But there was no way we had raised Johnny to have the belief that he could do anything. And so there was no way at that point we were going to say, you're not going to be able to do it. That's impossible. And so later on, Jeff and I kind of got together and said, well, how many steps do you think are in a mile, right? Because it was going to be a big challenge for him. And if you look on the front of the book, it says the impossible mile, but the I am is kind of faded out a little bit to show that really, if you have determination, if you have a sense of humor, if you have faith in what you believe in and what you do, then you can really make the impossible possible. So
yeah, I like to say it's really, really simple to just take out 2 letters and make words possible and change something that seems so definite and make it a positive thing. But my parents never put any limitations on me. And so when I told them, you know, I think I have a message that I want to share and I think could be useful at a time when not much is going our way right now with COVID and everything. So I really took to Mom and I said, okay, we need to do this. And we need to take this time. Mom was really my spearhead in this journey because she was my grade school teacher and my high school teacher. You guys said I was homeschooled. and she was also my college writing buddy. So we really had a good system down, and we had a message that we wanted to share, and we were full speed ahead in that message, and we really had a fun time going back through some memories. I see so many of you that have had, so many of you that have been a part of those memories, and thank you very much for being here today. You really helped me to understand what it means to achieve the impossible and give me the right tools that I need to achieve what I really wanted to do, was to be an athlete like my dad was when he played for the Detroit Tigers in their minor league system. And so when I took on that challenge of going a mile by walking in, you know, I knew it was a process. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but a bunch of you here have taken on that challenge and have inspired me to see what I can do. So thank you all for taking the time out here to not only encourage me, but encourage others in your path. So, and I really hope this book has an opportunity to show you how much I appreciate all of you. And this book is really, really special. And I hope you enjoy it.
I guess, if anybody has any questions at all, we'll do that.
Yeah, what was your writing process? You know, when you sit down to write, and, you know, where you would start, and have you talked about it?
Yeah, so, it was definitely a collaborative effort in that, you know, obviously, if you haven't read the book yet, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of information of what Jeff and I did when Johnny was little that Johnny wouldn't remember. So I did a lot of the writing in the morning, my favorite time to write before everybody woke up. And then
In other words, I would slow her down as much.
And, but then when it came up, I was really fortunate in that I had kept a journal. It's one of my favorite things to do. Even when I was little, I kept a journal. And so when I was pregnant with Johnny, I kept a journal almost daily, just kind of writing down what my thoughts and feelings were. And Johnny was our firstborn. And so I was able to pull a lot of the information for the book from those journals because I wrote it right when it happened. So it was a really a nice gift to have. And Johnny would, you know, we'd write down, take a lot of notes and say, okay, what about this? And to be honest, the book was originally, Tom's laughing, was originally 120,000 words, which it's supposed to be like 60. So we had a lot to write and a lot of thoughts to write down, and we had to edit it down, which was the hardest part, because what parts do you cut out and what parts do you keep, type of thing. So
yeah, but the writing process, I like to say that, you know, if you take things in small chunks, it's much easier to accomplish. Like we like to say in the book, if you take on life one step at a time. So we would write 1,000, close to 1,000 words a day. We had a goal of, and that was that goal, and we could sit down and down there. I thought it was very therapeutic for me, I think, and
I know, and sometimes there's a couple stories in there that really hit me hard, and I always start crying, and I would start to cry, and Johnny would say, he'd just turn on his power and he'd just go away. He's like, okay, let me know when you get your back to the So it was fun, and like Johnny said, I had homeschooled him throughout his whole education, whole career, and so we had a really good system down, and he would dictate, and then I would type in the computer and edit as we went along, and it just worked out really well for us. And yeah, good question. And that would be our editor asking that question. Yeah.
So how challenging was it to create the manuscript when the whole world was sort of shut down because of COVID, or what was the timeline for creating that, and did that have an impact on your writing and creative process?
Yeah, so the 120,000 words, we wrote that pre-COVID. So the COVID time and the getting the manuscript ready, that was kind of the biggest challenge. Like I said, it was so hard to what part do you cut out? But what we ended up doing is we wanted a message was the biggest thing. We just didn't want to tell a story of Johnny's life. We wanted there to be a message in there. And so I'm hopeful that you guys will be able to get the message of encouragement. We wanted to encourage people the most and show too that, you know, failure it seems to be, it prohibits a lot of people from trying to do things. And when you fail, it's a scary thing. But Johnny fails all the time, every day, multiple times. And he just realizes that it's part of the process. So that was a big message we wanted to get through. We wanted to let people know that don't be afraid, don't let doubt and fear get in your way, that you can accomplish things that you want to accomplish if you just trust the process and not be afraid of failure. And everybody fails. Everybody fails. And it's just a matter of, you know, what are you going to do once you fail? And Johnny has a great sense of humor. And so there's been many times where he has failed and he laughs at himself. There's one story in the book that is, he's at Aquinas College and Johnny can't see death. And so it's really hard for him to see hills and curves and things like that. And so he was going through Aquinas and there's this really pretty girl in front of him. And I thought, oh no, this is not a good thing because there was a curve and he has a hard time. And so he ended up falling, his chair tipped on the curb and he fell over and his face is kind of raised like this. And the girl has said, ran to him, said, oh my gosh, can I help you? And what did you say, John?
I just wanted to get a better view now.
You know, to anybody, it would have been a very embarrassing moment, but then we got him up and he looked at me, he's like, she helped me up. So, anyway, that kind of went, but writing the manuscript is, we wanted to have the message was the big thing, and staying focused on the message and being able to make sure that we were on track with that. And having a great editor was really a big help for us to be able to say, okay, now this is what you really want to say. So. Hi, Donna.
I'm Johnny with 4 or 5 boys. And I lived here in Grand Rapids, much of the journey that was published. I finished reading the book today. I picked it up a week ago in June. And I'm telling you, they're getting empowered the message. It's a showstopper. I mean, seriously, everyone and anyone, the challenge is not to find something for. Believe you to change.
Thank you. I did not pay her to say
Thank
that.
Bonnie was my trusty lead walker at eQuest when I rode there, and would always challenge me to work for me really hard, doggone it, and so I really thank you, and so Bonnie played a big part in helping me to achieve my goals. So.
It was definitely my singing of all the
I think so. I think that had to be a big part of it, yes. Thank you, Bonnie.
You're welcome. Thank you, John. This is a good journey.
Hi Becky, hi Johnny.
Hi, Bev.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So my question is, how did you come to select the picture on the front? Because I know you have hundreds of wonderful pictures to choose from.
Yeah. So we wanted to really explain the crux of the book, if you will. And if you see my logo that I use, it really shows a road that has no ending, and there's mountains on the cover. That was when I was in the Under Armour shoot in California. They chose a road that had mountains on it, and it was long and steep. And I think that really painted a picture of my life and what I had to overcome. And we really just wanted to give people a snapshot right away of what the impossible mind was about and what you can accomplish when you.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures is, and because you can't see the beginning of the road and you can't see the end of the road. So you have to have faith in where you're going and you can't look back because there's no road to look back on. And the mountains, symbolize to us the mountains that he has had to climb and the challenges that he's had. And I love the blue sky because it's just hope, right? So. And that was a picture, like Johnny said, I had taken it, when he did the Under Armour shoot in California. It was a road that they had closed off the highway, and I happened to capture that shot, so. And I like it too, because Jeff's walking beside him, which shows that, yeah, everybody needs somebody to accompany them too.
Sure. It's been said quite often, what the mind can conceive and believe, the mind will achieve. And I believe you are truly an epitome of that.
Oh, thank you.
But let me ask you, what's the next mile?
I really want to, we're training really hard. Actually, we're doing a Ironman in Indiana next weekend, I believe. So that's gonna be our next race, but we're training really hard to get that to Kona. We didn't make the like cutoff, as you'll see it when we did our last time.
At the Ironman World Championship, yeah.
But that's our goal, to finish what we started in. And at some point, I would love to do a 5K by myself. And I think really the next goal for me is to live on my own, because mom and dad can only handle this. So I'm joking, of course.
I'm not. Yeah, he wants to be independent, and he's got that goal, so we're hopeful.
Hi there. I noticed that you have some big names, famous people
Sure.
who have endorsed this book.
Yeah,
Can you
yes,
give
ma'am.
just a snapshot of how those names came about? I mean, I know your family's been busy and you go places, and I've always loved that interaction with other people, and you do stuff. You don't sit at home. I love that. You're just, if you want to do it, you go do it. And I just wonder if there was anything you want to say about that.
Sure, so I've always looked up to athletes, and so I always love talking to them and getting to know exactly what makes them tick. So anytime I get to talk to them, I do that. So, but there was one surprise that Michael Phelps actually was an interesting one. He called me on a Disney bus to Animal Kingdom. And no one, Mom was actually on the phone with him. And Mom picked up the phone and said, "Hey, hello, this is Becki Agar." And she said, "Becki, this is Michael Phelps." And Mom started jumping up and down. She didn't have the phone on speakerphone. So everyone was just staring at her, and I'm like, I don't know this woman. but no, after Mom had talked to him for a while, she said, "We're on the bus, do you mind waiting until we get off the bus so you can talk to Johnny easier?" And he just said sure. So we got off the bus, and he talked to me about, how much my story inspired him. And it was really a special thing because, I look up to him for, how hard he works and how hard he trains. And I love that he's a part of this book because, it's a really good parallel for people, and that, here I am as an athlete that has diabetes and can barely go as fast as he can. But, it's a great example for people in that, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve if you work hard enough. Yeah, I think, with him being a part of the book, it really shows people that you know, it really drives that message home.
But I think that, Michael Phelps, it ended up, we made a video. And because Johnny would watch the Roy Yourself Under Armour commercial over and over and over again to kind of motivate him. It was right after Kona when they didn't make the bike cutoff at Kona. And so to motivate him, he would watch this. And it was, the Roy Yourself commercial was kind of Michael Phelps's, it was a version of, he was getting ready to go back to Rio. And it was kind of showed what he experienced and how he came back so that he was able to get back to Rio, and his work ethic and things like that. And Johnny just latched onto it. And so I ended up making a video because I thought we couldn't say to him, I couldn't get a hold of him and say to him, you know, how grateful we were that he encouraged Johnny like that. It wasn't just about the gold medals. But so that's kind of how the interaction became with Michael Phelps. And then Johnny, the athletes that Johnny, a lot of the athletes that have endorsed the book, there are people that they don't just win gold medals. I mean, they're just not all glorious. They're the people that have risen and fallen and risen. And those are the people that he really tries to emulate and latch onto. And so just through various things, Justin Verlander actually had seen the E60 piece that they did on Johnny. And because Johnny was wearing his Verlander jersey. And so Justin had reached out to Johnny and invited us to his
It
suite.
was really cool because it was actually during a time when he was rehabbing, so when he was kind of down.
So
and
he was
stuff.
down and and he had seen Johnny and thought, you know, and so he invited Johnny to the suite and developed a relationship that way. So, yeah, it's just been a really neat journey. We're just, yeah.
But I'm really grateful that, you know, a lot of the athletes that I look up to have now, that have passed their inspiration on to me. I can now, they're now joining forces with me to, you know, to pass on, hopefully that inspiration. So it's really cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, that was kind of long.
So a question came from online. Will the book be available on audio?
Yeah, so this was a crucial thing for me because I have a lot of friends that can only listen to audiobooks, and so this was a crucial thing for me that this was available, and we'll certainly do that.
And we're really excited because the person who wrote the forward, Scott Van Pelt from ESPN, he's also voiced the audio for the forward of the book. So he agreed to do that for us. So that was really nice. Yeah, we're excited about that.
What have you done with your college degree so far?
So I really wanted to be around athletes and be around, you know, the atmosphere and things. So I just hope to do a lot more racing and hopefully be around athletes the rest of my life, because I really think they're important for me, and it's not just about winning games or you know, being the best you can be. It's about getting better every day, and I really look up to them in that aspect of things, because, you know, if I'm going to be as independent as I want to be able to live on my own, I need to work really hard just like they do. And so that was really the motivation for my studying sport management. If that answers your question. Thank you.
So I didn't know anything about you, so I saw the E60, that like, ESPN, I don't know how many years it was after that, but in the video, at Mitchell's Ground, was that your actual first mile, or was that like a different mile that they wanted to capture to kind of talk about your first mile?
Yeah, I love my buddy Mitchell Peterson and that's his race, but I really wanted to watch in that race because that's one of my favorites, and so I said I was gonna do that race, and so ESPN said we'll just tag along, and so that was really the crux of that. But I was really excited because I could also do what I love to do and be an athlete, but also give notice to others that need it. So Mitchell battled Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and that's what the race raised the money for.
Mom, you don't have any questions? Oh, yes, there.
Hi, John.
Hi Claire, how are you?
How are you?
Good, good.
So,
Thank you for coming.
oh, of course I would be here. So something great about the book and your story is that, you know, sometimes we see people who overcome adversity and face challenge and we think, well, they're just stronger than I am. They're just somehow more capable of doing the impossible than I am. But the book really drives home that it really makes you walk away thinking that you can do it too. And it really speaks to kind of whatever you're walking through in your journey at the time. And from reading the book and from watching the trailer for the book, we see that there was times when you were maybe middle school, high school, where you might have felt left out or different from your peers. And I think those kids are crazy because I would spend every day with you. But getting to my question is, what is your advice? You handle it all so well with such a great sense of humor, but what's your advice for kids who might feel different from their classmates or are feeling left out? Like, how do we get through those tough times?
Well, I think you need to be around people like Claire. Claire was one of my teachers at the Deductive Learning Center, and she really created a positive environment for me and all my friends to realize that we could achieve whatever we want to achieve. And it's really just having a strong faith and being around people that will support you and things. And I really encourage them to have their have people around you that will foster that determination in you, because Claire did that for me, and so it means a lot that she would ask that question when she was one that did that for me. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just to add on to that, I think it's really important to have people surround you that are going to encourage you, and you're always going to find people that are, naysayers and don't challenge you. And kids, it's hard for kids these days, right? They're bombarded with a lot. They can't get away from social media, and I think if they, find somebody and it doesn't have to be a whole team of people, just one person that is there to encourage them and help them and support them. I think that makes a huge difference, because then you feel like you're not alone. You feel like you're not doing something that's not too challenging, and it kind of convinces you in a way that it gives you courage, right? It gives you courage to do things.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Johnny. Hi, Becki.
Hello, Mr. Naraki. How are you?
You can call me Joe.
How are you?
I have two fun questions.
Sure.
One is, you're getting towards the end of the race. What is your food that you're thinking about that you want to eat? And then number two is, what is your absolute favorite song that you put in your iPod that really gets you going?
As soon as I cross the finish line, It's Reese's peanut butter cup. Yeah, I kid you not, we crossed the finish line the other night about 15 minutes later, and we were at an ice cream bar with my entire group, so.
Before the race, Jeff doesn't really want him eating a lot of sweets. I don't know why. Has to lug him around for 100 or midnight. But yeah, so that's one of Johnny's big things is he wants ice cream. Give him ice cream.
Because the whole thing is Dad doesn't let me eat ice cream a certain amount of time before a race.
Or donuts.
Or donuts. Which I can't blame him, but I like to be a devil sometimes.
It was funny when Meyer was one of the companies or organizations that had sponsored us, and when we got back from Kona, they made a delivery on there with their ice cream truck, and we had like 20 gallons of ice cream. So he was in heaven.
And my favorite song, anything country. I love. Yeah, when it was really fun because when I crossed the finish line, Iron Man Boulder, they played "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey. That's my absolute favorite song. I love that song. So
He has Bose headphones that he wears, and he plays the music really, really loud. And so you hear it, but you'll hear "Don't Stop Believing" over and over again. You'll hear the Johnny Cash moments. And then the one from the Rookie, Disney's The Rookie.
oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
By Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley, yeah.
So my music genres are very, very dynamic.
All across the board, yeah. So, yeah, but we'll hear it over and over again until we finally just have to knock on the headphones and say, you gotta turn it off. I know you're getting ready for a race, but if I hear that one more time.
Yes,
Johnny, Becki, what an inspirational story. And
thank you very much.
as someone who sees you just about every other weekend, it seems like you have a print version of the book, audio version. When is Netflix, Disney, pick you up for a nice little video edition of this?
So we're not sure about that yet, but
We were talking, we had an interview with a national publication, and he had jokingly said, well, what's next, Johnny? And Johnny jokingly said, I don't know, I think I'll take up acting. And the guy went silent. I thought, oh no, what a reason. And he said, I just got off the phone with the Kendrick brothers, who are producers for Facing the Giants and Courageous and Fireproof and all those movies. And he said, I'm gonna give him a call because he says it's right up their alley. So who knows? Who knows? Johnny did Michael Love's plan.
yeah, I was surprised people think that I look like him.
Until he gets in the pool, and then.
Yeah. Until I get in the pool and it's not pretty, but I still do it. So
you guys have Indy next weekend.
Yeah.
Do you have a pause in your race season then, or are you gonna keep racing, or what does your race calendar look like?
So, then they approaches an idea with Mom. But I don't know if she's up to it very much, but we want to do Ironman Indiana, and then the next weekend do Ironman Texas.
See, aren't you all with me? See? Yeah, so that was the big thing. Now Jeff just said, I think we should do it.
Yeah,
So this whole impossible thing is really biting me in the butt.
but I'm really thankful to have racing back because it teaches me a lot and it helped me out a lot in my life to be around athletes, and so I want to do as many races as we can this year. It's like a party time.
Yeah, COVID was pretty hard for Johnny, extremely hard, actually, and not much that he could do, you know, he couldn't get out and train, he couldn't.
So I love seeing all your smiley faces.
Yeah, and we just got to a point where we knew he had to do something, so we took his walker and we hooked it up to the treadmill with bungee cords, and we were standing there, and so Johnny was able to walk on the treadmill with his walker. It was a setup. And we had posted something about it, and the beautiful thing that came out of that is that Mary Freebed had called and said, you know, we just got this new Ultra G, which is an anti-gravity treadmill. And so we were able to get him on that, and he could walk in the winter, which was just a godsend. And the neat thing is that they adapted, so when Johnny walks, he crosses his legs quite a bit. His adductors are pretty tight, and that's why you'll see when he walks, he's got a pole on his walker. So in the treadmill, they designed the same kind of thing, a PVC pipe that he could walk with, and now they're gonna patent it and make it so that they never even dreamed of using it for people with CP. And they always use the Ultra G for people with, you know, joint problems or runners that had to rehab for a certain extent of time. So it was a really neat thing. So now we're getting messages from people all over saying, thank you so much for introducing us to Ultra G, because now I can get up and walk, and whereas they wouldn't have been able to. So it's a pretty neat thing.
Johnny.
How you doing, dude? Good to see you.
Man, they got on the interview yesterday.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's gonna take my job, or I was a little nervous.
No one's gonna take your job.
You know, I wanna ask you, do you understand how many people you inspire?
You know, I don't really, I just do things because I love to do them, and I hope that I can inspire at least one person, but I think, you know, you can't really say, I'm gonna go inspire people, you know, the people around you have to be the ones that are inspired. So, you know, I just keep doing what I love to do, and hopefully people are encouraged to do the same or tackle whatever challenges they want to tackle. So if that answers your question.
It did. You're an amazing man.
Thank you very much.
It was interesting, after he had walked that mile, we thought, he had said after the race, he said, Mom, wouldn't that be neat if I was able to encourage somebody who was in a wheelchair? And I said, yeah, that would be great. And it ended up that we heard from a lot of those people, but a lot of the people that we were hearing from, you know, all over the world, which was amazing. The Maldives Island or the Marshall Islands and the Philippines, and but it was more, I want to lose weight, and you've encouraged me to do that, or I'm getting off the couch and I'm going to walk a mile, or I'm getting off my addiction. And just, it was an amazing thing to be able to watch.
Yeah, when you hear things like that, you realize that it gives you a sense of purpose. And so when I hear a huge Mr. Simonson say something like that, you know, it really inspires me and fuels my heart to keep going. When I see all of you here today, it really inspires me to keep going in my journey when things are tough. So I really appreciate anybody that takes heart to my story.
Becki, as the mom of a complex kiddo, I would love to hear about how you set life up to be successful for Johnny, and you yourself got through the harder days. And
You know, that was a decision that Jeff and I made from the very start, was when we were told that Johnny had cerebral palsy. We knew we didn't want to pigeonhole him. And so we decided at the time that we weren't going to tell him that he had cerebral palsy. And it's not because we were embarrassed of it. It wasn't any of that. We just didn't want to let him know that he had something that was going to hold him back until he could decide what his limitations were himself. And we got a lot of grief from it. And people couldn't understand it. And so when we didn't want to get Johnny a wheelchair, they would say, well, how does he get around? Well, we're going to have to figure that out, or he's going to have to figure that out. And so I think it was, we didn't ever want to make anything easy for him. And because we knew life wasn't going to be easy for him. So that's one of the reasons why we like the Conductive Learning Center, is because in order to get from point A to point B, they had to figure it out themselves. They had to work to get there. And it was our decision to do. And I'm really, really happy with that decision. I was just telling Rebecca earlier on, it was interesting because I had called the doctor, Dr. Batten, who was the neonatologist at the time, who had told us, you know, he's the one that said you can read all the books you want to about cerebral palsy, or you can just love them and take it day by day. And he said, I found that the people who expect things to happen anticipate that, and then they don't push their kids to do that. And so it was at that point we said, yeah, that's what we want to do. So I just felt I wanted to thank him, because it was such a monumental piece of advice for Jeff and I at that point. And so I did. He lives out in California now. He's retired. And it was interesting because he said, you know, I don't say that to all the parents, but he said, I just felt like you needed to hear that. So it was just such a godly thing that I took as just a beautiful moment. And I just felt very in debt to this man, because he could have just given us a canned answer and handed us a book and said, you know, go for it. Look, here's what he can't do.
And I'll just add to that, and that, you know, I went to the Conductive Learning Center since I was 4 years old, and I'm, you know, my parents made that decision from the very beginning, and I think that was crucial, because, you know, those are the times when you're really young that things can get. You can learn things very, very easily and pick up things very easily. So I think, you know, that was a crucial time for me versus later on in my life when I had to figure out things out. So I think the sooner you can do that for anybody.
But to add to that, it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. You know, he had a hard time with it. And he was, you know, he had a couple instances where the kids were just not very nice to him. And he didn't understand, because he didn't know, he didn't see himself with a disability. And so it were those moments that were really difficult to try to explain to him. You know, and we would always say that, you know, everybody has some kind of a difference. Everybody is special in their own way. Yours just happened to be more apparent. And And it seemed to work for him. He understood that. But sometimes he'd get really mad. I mean, he would honestly, get mad. Like at the Conducted Learning Center, he crawled out, he was running away. He was
Yeah.
crawling out of the door. He was done and he didn't want any more. But he was also smart enough to know if he'd go to therapy and they'd say, let's play, he knew it wasn't playtime. He had to work, right? So it was a fine balance. It was challenging, but I don't know, I'm not too screwed up.
Thank you.
Well, I think, I just want to say thank you. It's been just such a wonderful journey for us and wouldn't have possibly happened without the great folks, the publishing firm of Dexterity. And Scott Rebo is right in the back there. He's the head of marketing. He flew in from Nashville, Tennessee for us. And we're just so thankful for Dexterity. They took a chance with us and they've really put their heart and soul into the book for us. And we so greatly appreciate it. And then Rebecca Nordquist was our wonderful editor, and she, we say we had the words, but she put them into a beautiful story for us. So we just want to thank Rebecca, and Rebecca flew in from Connecticut for us to be here today. So we're just so very thankful. And then obviously we can't not say anything about my two daughters that are sitting there, Grace and Annie, and they've just been so supportive for everything, and it's
They made my journey a lot easier, so.
and then, of course, where would we be without Jeff?
Of course.
And then we cannot say anything. Tom Dean is our literary agent. He has had so much faith in us, and this whole journey is just because of him. And we're so very, very grateful that he's here tonight, and he's helped us think about beautiful flowers. So we just,
But he's a lot faster than I am.
He is so fast.
He's a runner too. Gives me a lot of inspiration.
But, part of another message in the book is it takes a team. You got to be surrounded by good people, and we are just so grateful that we have this, and all of you, you're all part of the book in our eyes. We're just so grateful for all of your support and all of the help and the love that you've given us. And we just, you all should be up here. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.